We're not live. We are recording. We are recording! Oh, here we go. Hey guys, check it out. It's me. It's the one and only, the Reynard, the Fox and Socks. You know how it is. You know how it is. Welcome, one and all. This is already a weird vibe. Starting out. I am no longer at the other location that I was recording at. So we'll see how this one goes. So welcome. Welcome. Today I thought I would talk about X-4 Foundations. It's a wonderful game made by, oh my golly, should have wrote this down. I think it's Egosoft, right? Yeah, Egosoft. Wonderful game. I have it in my notes written down when it was released in November 30th, 2018. So it's newer than the other games I was talking about, but keeping up with the theme of space games, I realized I didn't talk about this one, which is probably up there with top 3 favorite space games. Like, I guess if Star Fox, obviously gets the number 1 spot, then maybe Elite Dangerous, and then X-4. So I was a little appalled to realize that it took me up to episode 8 to talk about X-4 Foundations. Heck, Starfield got episode 1. But that was because it was topical, and it came out at the time. And now I don't even want to think about Starfield. I don't even want to think about that. So, one thing I wanted to talk about was how cool X4 was to me when I first started streaming. It was a niche game. There weren't too many people who were proficient at it. And so there was a lot of room for like people to grow and for people to like specialize in X4. And I already had a lot of Elite Dangerous knowledge, which, is like you got to manage all your systems, you got to outfit your ship with different guns and different, engine drives and shield generators and all this other stuff. So it was a lot of fun doing all that, but since I wasn't playing Elite Four, oh my golly, where's my brain today? But since I had the experience with Elite Dangerous, X4 just kind of came naturally to me. So what is it? It's basically a fleet simulator, space sim. In a lot of ways, it's very similar to Elite Dangerous, but also very, very different. Elite Dangerous is an MMO. You're mostly stuck to a first-person perspective for the most part in Elite Dangerous. X4, you actually do a lot of walking around on the ships and stuff. There aren't many places to go on the ships, but it does require you to like go to the seats that you want to go to. You could spend a lot of time in the pilot seat if you so wish. But I just really like that aspect of the game, that you can walk around, go to the hangar, go to different rooms. I think I had a mod for a while that added a couple of different rooms, but now I think there's official rooms that they added. That or the mod updated. I'm not entirely sure. But it's fantastic because I've always wanted to walk around inside the ship, which is something Elite Dangerous would not afford me. And now finally, as I talked about in my Elite Dangerous episode, there's now on foot stuff that you can enjoy. But I agree with a lot of the community. It does feel like it was just kind of tagged on to the main game, and everything just feels a little too separate. But I feel like Elite Dangerous would be able to merge the two sides by starting to implement like on ship stuff, because I remember watching an FDev documentary, like when they were first kind of like conceptualizing the game, or it was talking about the game in its humble beginnings. This was like before Horizons even came out. Um, I know this is an Elite Dangerous podcast, but they were talking about how they wanted like they foresaw a future where the pilot would have to like Eva outside the ship to repair a panel and stuff like that. And I see in Elite Dangerous, like your panels get the whole of the ship gets really ripped up and torn apart. There's explosions. And I'm always thinking like, man, it would be cool if I could just hop on out there, like on the Anaconda, which is one of the ships in Elite Dangerous. There's a door like right on the bridge, like towards the back, that leads out, and like it has a ladder to go up further, and it's just like a cool little detail that I could like see myself walking through, and I want to walk through that door. Please, FDev, let me walk through the door. Give me ship interiors. But anyway, X4 does have ship interiors, which is super neat. There's a bunch of aliens, and it honestly beats out a lot of the competitors that I've tried. I debated on making this episode actually about Star Citizen, and that would have definitely been a rant. I would have just done nothing but hate on Star Citizen. If you have been listening to me and you know space games and you know Star Citizen, you probably know why I would complain about it. Not that I spent a lot of money towards it, but I know a lot of people have. Which is part of the reason I don't like it, because it's not technically a finished game. Anyway, we're not talking about any of these games. We're talking about X4, Reynard. Come on. Let's do it. They already released some DLC for X4, and I am realizing now that I bought 2 of them, and I have yet to play them. So maybe after this recording, I might have to go check those out. They seem fun. I remember playing the beginning of one of them. I think it was the start of Tides of Avarice. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, so this game lets you trade, lets you fight, lets you research things, like lets you build your own like space stations even. Where you can like have your own space factory, you could have a space weed farm, like it's pretty neat, pretty expansive. I'm not a huge base builder guy or RTS player, but there was just enough like actiony element and also immersive element that like kept me really hooked to X4. So even though I'm not the best at RTSs, this was a fantastic RTS. Especially if you're new to RTS and you're not really sure. It's a great way to ease in because the RTS elements almost happen gradually. So it's not all at once right in your face. You can actually incrementally tiptoe your way into the RTS, or you can keep it as solo as you want. Like, say you buy a ship and it's like this cheap fighter ship, right? You make some money, and then you buy another ship and you sell your old piece of junk, and then you just keep, trading in your ships until you got like a big old destroyer ship. And then that could still be just your only ship, and then you could fly around in that. What I like to do, what I did was I created I wanted to do a big old mercenary fleet, and thankfully they have these carriers in the game which specialize in holding a bunch of, small class fighter ships. Because I like to emulate Star Fox in pretty much every video game that is in space or is, has its setting in space. I pretty much always, I pretty much always try to emulate Star Fox one way or another. So I got this carrier, built up to this carrier, and then I filled it with like fighter ships. And eventually I realized that wasn't enough firepower for the things I wanted to do. So I had to like upgrade that and get a bunch of destroyer ships. I think it was like 10 or something like that. All with like forward-facing plasma cannons that could just rip through anything. Oh man. Anyway, so generally, the game has an interesting story. I'm not entirely caught up with the story, but I am interested whenever there are story bits. The story bits are a little bit rare, not rare, but like normally they give you a task and then you have to accomplish that task and then you get like a little bit of dialogue and then you're on to the next task, you know. There aren't like cutscenes per se. Sometimes there are, and those are really cool. But they aren't like character cutscenes as you would think. They're just like cutaways to like show you certain plot elements and things like that. Um, but sometimes meeting the characters is really neat, and you get to talk to them at length, and you get most of your story that way. Um, so when I first started, the first people I ran into were the Argon, and the Argon were these humans
Later.
that were out there in space. But I noticed in Argon space, there were like Earth-likes and stuff like that, planets, but none of them looked like Earth. Um, and I've come to find out now that the Argon were humans who were disconnected from Earth, because the whole space travel aspect is achieved through these space gates, um, called the Jump Gate Network, I think, quite simply. And the Jump Gate network, the gate shutdowns, yeah, they started shutting down randomly, and they just fluctuate. And as far as I know, no one knows why they turn on and off, but maybe that's explained in a DLC, or maybe some other X-4 lore walker would be able to answer that question, why they turn on and off randomly. I'm not even sure who put them in place. I wonder if it's like a Mass Effect Reapers thing, where they put like some ancient race basically put them there. I'm not sure if that's the case. But everyone in this galaxy uses these to connect to different zones of space. So the Argons left Earth, and they never returned because the gate shut down that, you know, they went through, and they were kind of stuck there. And I think there was actually a story reason as to why. I think the gate actually like blew up, because of another faction that I'm going to talk about. Actually, it's a perfect segue. The Xenon. So there's another group that has come from Earth. It's the sentient AI, the malicious sentient AI Terminator type, called the Xenon. And they were created by humans to, I think it was terraform. Yeah, they were like autonomous drones that could like probably think and feel, but only certain things. Which is why it backfired. But they were terraformers, and they had to like, you know, be independent on a desolate planet while terraforming it. And eventually, classic, you know, AI story of they turned on their masters and they shot back. Something happened, and then the gate blew up, and then the humans that were on the other side of the gate became the Argon, and the people who were on the Earth side of the gate became the Terrans. And the Terrans had been fighting the source of the Xenon ever since, and I think they've actually mostly managed to kick them out. But the Xenon is an ever-present threat and is trying to like constantly like destroy all humans, you know, that classic story. Then you got the Teladi. The Teladi are a bunch of interesting lizard folk that have impossible to say names. I really tried a few times. You know, editing me, it's probably a trouble, but try and find some of these names, or just put some of the names on screen. Look at these names. Look how they're structured. Aren't they beautiful? Okay, take them away. I hate those names. I hate trying to say those names. They're the worst. But actually, it's pretty interesting. I do like it. I just can't say it. All right, and that's not their fault. That's my fault. But they're really cool little lizard dudes. They're actually sometimes known as ace pilots. I've seen that a few times come up in the story, but mostly they are regarded as like traders, very good tradesmen who are all about the profits. You know, that I think that's an inside joke with the X4 community. The profits, you know. It's all about the profits. Think about the profits. So they have a really powerful economy, um, and they're seen as like a very valuable resource for a lot of the gate network because they can supply a lot of goods, and they also have a lot of factories and stuff like that. Um, they do have a criminal underbelly. I think that is what the Talati are. I think that's a faction name. Because then you also have the Ministry of Finance, and they're also the lizard dudes. I think their race name is the Talati, not just the faction name. I'm not entirely sure. I think I might be forgetting. Anyway, but yeah, they do apparently have a pretty large criminal underground as well. Lots of pirates come from them, which might be where the ace pilotry aspect also comes from because of the dangers of being a smuggler or a pirate. Some of them get pretty nifty at the whole flying thing. And then the next strangest creature that is in this galaxy is probably the Paranid. The Paranid are a group of three-eyed, almost classic looking alien, like, you know, big head, they're kind of purplish. Yeah, three eyes most distinctly. And they also got hooves. I believe they're hooves. I think they got like horse hooves. So they're almost kind of like the what are they called? The Asari? Am I saying that right? No, I don't think it's. I don't know. I don't know what the name. I don't play World of Warcraft, but the World of Warcraft race that's like a bunch of bull people. I don't know why I'm bringing them up as an example, but they got the hooves feet. All right, they got the hooves. But they're kind of cool. They're very religious. They're religious zealots on both sides, and I say both sides because they are split into two factions mostly. There's the Holy Paranid, which I think is the original group, and then its splinter group, the Holy Empire. I might be confusing Kenshi. I'm not sure, but it might be the Holy Empire of the Paranid. But both sides are in like a huge civil war, also caused by a gate network shutdown that left them kind of severed from the big holy Pope man of their race. So they had to create another. Yeah, that's it. They had. I'm trying to remember this. So the gate network shut down. They didn't have access to their Pope man, so they had to make their own Pope man. And then when the gates flicked back on, then suddenly travel could, you know, be accessed and they could go between each other. But then they were like, wait, you guys also have a Pope? We have the real Pope. And then the people who made the new Pope were like, no, your Pope left us. We like our Pope. And then they basically fight over popes. As far as I know, that's their story. So they've been at civil war ever since, and you can kind of decide which way the civil war goes. I think for a time my mercenary fleet did try to fight in that war a little bit. But then I got it in my head that I should attack the Xenon. I was like, this is just an objective threat to the universe, you know? Like, these are AI, terraforming AI that are trying to murder everyone. And also, I went to one area that was, I'm not sure if the lore even says that they messed it up or not, but one of their systems has this, like, horrific nightmare planet that is just on fire, and the whole system is, like, electrically charged, and it's just horrifying. There's like a huge electromagnetic field around the entire zone. And the planet is like red with like what almost looks like industry, like maybe the Xenon have taken it over. I wouldn't call it a home planet. but it could have definitely become a powerful outpost under Xenon rule. So they can terraform in the opposite direction, not just make something hospitable, but also inhospitable. Um, so I decided to go try and murder them all. And I don't think anyone would complain because pretty much everyone in the galaxy did not like the Xenon. So I went after him, and it was a very satisfying, almost like end game play when I finally had my max fleet take them on, and I started one by one taking out all of their stations and stronghold points. It was a good time. I really enjoyed playing it during when I when I started going after the Xenon. Um, and then going into one of the DLCs, they introduced the Split. The Split is a pretty neat faction. As far as I know, they have like this honor system where it's based on like different Faust families and houses, also known as Fausts, I guess. Um, these different families and houses are in charge of regions of space and different space stations. It's almost Eastern in a way, where you pay, patronage. That's the word. I think it's a patronage government system. Um, but there's this really cool storyline of the Curbs, and the Curbs are basically female split that are like separated, not separated. They're with the different houses, but they're kind of like this special class of split where they're just like servants, I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember. If I get this wrong, X-4 lovers, I apologize. Please correct me. But I'm pretty sure the Curbs are just like kind of like housemaidens that just are just cleaners and cookers and that kind of thing. Or um I feel like there's more to it than that because they are a pretty significant military organization as well. So it can't all but just be cooking and cleaning. But basically, they're upset by the patriarchy, which makes sense in this patronage system where the patriarchs are like the top shits. Um, and there's this cool part where they like all the Curbs group up and secede from all the houses, and then they create their own faction. So it's like this own faction of female split Curbs, and it's really cool. I like that storyline, and you can choose to help them, or you can join the patronage or whatever, or the patriarchy. That's the word. The patriarchy. Anyway, so the split are pretty cool. I think there might be other races introduced later on. During the Terran DLC, which is a pretty fun DLC, they introduced like cyborg people. I forget what they're called. Yaki? I feel like Yaki is coming forward into my brain. Maybe they're called the Yaki. I should have looked that up first, but that's just coming out of my head hole. But yeah, the Yaki were these people that were using, I think, Xeno parts or Xenon parts to augment themselves, but it also kind of made them crazy because the Xenon are also crazy. I'm not entirely remembering that one very well. So I'm not doing a great job of explaining why I think this game is pretty great. Um, I do really like the story, but sometimes the story is hard to follow because it's you get it in kind of like drops. Like you don't get a good helping heaving glass full of lore all at once. So you got to kind of like piece it together over time or watch a YouTube video, which it'd be cool. Maybe one day I'll do something on X-4. It might be more story driven because I try to do things more story driven on that side of the Reynard show on the YouTube. Let's see what my notes say. Gate shutdowns are a great story element and method of introducing new zones and stories with their own factions who are cut off from the network. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So The gate shutdown thing, I kind of now I'm got the question burning in my skull. Why do they shut down? Why do they turn on? Why do they turn off here and there and sporadically? Is there a rhyme? Is there a reason? Is there an ancient race? I'm not entirely sure, but whatever it is, it's a great story element for writing because you can just kind of flip on, flip off any gate you want, and boom, now you have an entire faction to explore and to discover and to learn about. Once that the base game gets a little bit stale. So I think that's a great way of introducing things while still having it be pretty natural to the story. It'd feel weird if like suddenly your old save, suddenly now there's a bunch of things. There's a whole new race of species of people flying around, which kind of happens in the split one, but it's explained because one of the gates turned on. And then it allowed access, and that's why they're all flooding through. But really, all you did was download the DLC, which I think which is pretty neat. I like it when people or writers try to explain things like that. It almost takes me back. I don't know why I'm remembering of like Psycho Mantis from Metal Gear Solid. When if you have your memory card in the other slot, he can't read your mind and he can't read your games or something like that, or he knows you're messing with him. And another way that you gotta like beat him is to like move your controller, because otherwise he would like spam your buttons or something. And then if you moved your controller to player 2, you can then fight him. I love when they get creative like that. And I mean, even though it's not that level of creative, I haven't seen that level of creative in a while. I do like to see when people are getting creative with just simple mechanical aspects of the game. Like, explain why you're saving. How are you saving? Like, you could be simple like Kingdom Hearts and just have like a glowy spot that no one talks about, and then that'll be your save point. Or you could be like Resident Evil, where you're typing your last notes down or what you did. So if you die, someone will uncover, what you saved. So it kind of explains it away a little bit. I like that. I like that. Talk about how you built your own mercenary fleet and help fight in the wars. I did kind of talk about that already. Notes. Thank you very much. See, I'm a good podcaster. I can podcast sometimes. Oh yeah, piracy is a lot of fun in this game. So you can actually like board ships. You need to get crew members and set them up on boarding pods, and then you kind of like launch them at the ship, and then they go in and you can hear them talking about the different combats and we're breaching the bridge now, go. It's pretty neat, but I do wish there were gunfights in the game. Unlike Odyssey, you don't get your own like personal weapons. You can't storm a bridge yourself, which I think is a great shame. I think that would be a cool dynamic to the game. There's no surface landings either. It's just space stations and other ships and things like that, capital ships. But there's plenty to do. There's plenty to do because it's mostly about managing your own space fleet or space base, space station. Not really necessarily exploration. So I give him that. It's not really supposed to be an exploration game, but I do wish I could land on things and also have a little bit more action, because, I mean, the action's great if you're doing ship-to-ship combat. It feels a lot simpler than something like Elite Dangerous, but definitely still fluid and fun. Here, let me go and take a drink. Drink break, everyone, drink break. Hydrate. All right. I am rapidly getting to the end of my notes, and we're only 30 minutes in to the recording. And who knows what I'll cut out. It doesn't sound like I'm going to be cutting out much. I don't know if it's too meta to always zoom out and talk about the podcast itself. But yeah. My goal is to reach 20 podcasts and then kind of like analyze everything that I've learned from these past 20. So we're only on episode 8, so there's still a lot of learning to happen. Maybe I should have written longer notes. So I think until episode 20, at least, I'm probably going to be talking a lot about the stream itself, or not stream, recording the podcast itself. See, I'm an expert. And it's mostly introspective, and this is going to serve as kind of like a diary as well at parts for me to talk to you guys as well about my different plans and ideas. Though I do want to keep it generally structured to a theme. It's not always going to be space. I know I've said that a couple of podcasts now. Working on getting guests on board. Hopefully sooner than later. But at the same time, I'm realizing maybe later is okay, because like I just said, around 20 podcasts is at least my number of solos. And then maybe we'll try and lean into the guests after that. But who knows? Maybe we'll have a guest before that. It depends if I can get someone on. It's really up to that. I'm talking like this is the outro. We still got a half an hour, folks. We still got a half an hour. What are we going to talk about? X-4? Right. But I desperately need to talk about something about X-4. Let's see here. There was a streamer. Oh wait, actually, I didn't even talk about this thing I wanted to talk about in the very beginning. Okay, we'll talk about it now, because I am looking for something to talk about. I was introduced to X-4 originally by my buddy Nexus Dragon, who I believe has recently started streaming, so go check him out. He recommended it to me when it first came, or first got teased or whatever, and the trailers had dropped. And he was pretty hyped for it, and that made me kind of hyped for it. But then it was a little too early; it wasn't released yet, and eventually they did release it. And I'm trying to remember the timeline here. It was around when I started streaming. I picked it up, and I started playing a lot of it on my own, and I wanted to see if anyone knew about it, because I don't think Nexus had started playing it or owned it yet at the time. So I started looking for other streamers. And I found, well, one, this guy helped me a whole lot, Captain Collins. I think that's his name on Twitch. Captain Collins, and also on YouTube. He's got a ton of YouTube videos. If you're looking for X-4 advice, check him out. He does a lot of good stuff. He doesn't even know who I am, but he helped me a lot. He helped me out a lot. People who do know who I am, though, D Armada on Twitch, and Magnificent Mako, who is sadly no longer streaming on Twitch, has since retired. But I miss you, Mako. If you're listening to this, I miss you, Mako. And D Armada is great. He's still streaming on Twitch. Power to him. He does a lot of space games as well. But they played a lot of X-4 at the same time as I did, and we shared a lot of content and community and stuff. So I'm really thankful to those guys who helped me out in the start of my streaming career, which is almost making me nostalgic, because things were so different back then. Things were so different. But now we have this. We have what we're doing. We're having the TheReyCast. Things have changed, you see. I always thought about going back to X4 though, just because my streaming roots, and B, it has a lot of good interactability with the community because you can like rename your ships and stuff, and you can rename ships after people, which I think is pretty silly. Um, and Kenshi, I want to play Kenshi on stream as well. We haven't played. I mean, I got to do a podcast on Kenshi. That's a good one. That might be the next episode. We'll see. We'll see. Kenshi's a good one. I could talk about Kenshi for a minute. Um, but we're gonna try not to. That one's gonna be interesting just because it's not entirely space themed, but it is. Different game, different game. We're jumping around games a lot here, but X4 provides a lot of opportunity. Piracy, you can trade, you can focus on trading, and what's cool about the trade in this game compared to like Elite Dangerous is Elite Dangerous, your trading is kind of limited to pre-existing locations and their economies and stuff like that. It's pretty in depth, sure, but you're really just a space trucker carrying, your goods across, a couple of stars and then dropping off your cargo. In X4, you can do something pretty cool, which is production, and you can like make your own stuff, and then you can have your own dealers, your own trucks heading out and dealing your goods. And if you're growing space weed, then it's literally you're your own dealer. You can create your own dispensary in space. It's amazing. Or you could do like silicon boards or titanium rods, or yeah, I don't know. Like there's a whole bunch of different stuff, but you can produce things that you find make a lot of money. You could even be like an armory. You can make missiles and you can make guns and stuff like that, different weapons, and then outfit ships. After I learned and got the resources together to build like a shipyard or a wharf or whatever, one, that increased my money like a millionfold because now I had like a whole bunch of people ordering ships from my from my station, and I started building ships and getting paid for it. It was amazing. So it was a total flip compared to, trying to be a mercenary and a single fighter and picking up odd jobs and, trying to get paid for bounties and different things such as that. Um, so the trading is a lot more fun. You could even trade with yourself. Like my main system that I cleared it out from Xenon, and I was like, this system's pretty, so I'm gonna set up here. So I made like a crap ton of stations all in the same sector, and they would have their own trading ships that would trade specifically with each other. And I had like a giant what do you call it? I just said it earlier. Space dock? No. Shipyard, that's it. A giant shipyard there that could build like huge ships. And I had ended up with, in my main save, maybe I think it was three of these massive fleets, which consisted of like a Raptor, which is like the biggest carrier in the game each. I had like 3 Raptors. I think I stole 2 of them because that, you can board ships in this game and you can raid them. I don't know if I finished saying earlier, but you can actually like take over the ship, and then that's your ship, even if it's a huge ship. So it's but also a huge ship means there's a lot of crew, so like trying to infiltrate with like 12 people, and they, it's mostly a combat mission, they're gonna get squashed. So you gotta have something comparable or a plan in place in order to take a big ship for yourself, commandeer it. But it is cool that it is possible. I didn't know this technique at first. I would like build up my fleet carrier with a huge amount of crew members and then just use that. But I learned another technique from, it was probably either Mako or Di Armada. I can't remember which one it was, but they had like a bunch of these space trucks, like tiny little, not tiny, they were like medium class ships. And they just packed them full with like 50 crew each, and then they would also surround the ship in question, and he would have like, I don't know, like 500 people on board in a second. Um, it was glorious, and then I use that technique every once in a while. It's pretty good, pretty good. Good way to take over ships, and you can even just like be pure pirate and just like sell those ships and scrap them off for even more profits. Or you can add it to your fleet and customize it and make it better and get more parts, ship parts for it. And man, all this talking about it just makes me want to play it. You know, I just want to play it now. Um, it's a good one. I am still playing Elite Dangerous. But I finally achieved, I don't know if I said on podcast, but I achieved the fleet carrier in Elite Dangerous, which is a good time, a good time. I still need to figure out what exactly I'm gonna do with it. It does have like a weekly upkeep and stuff like that, so I don't want to lose it after just getting it, but that just means making some money, grinding a little bit here and there. But I don't know. I need to find something to do in Elite Dangerous because I feel like money is no longer a question. So I need to find something that would just be, fun to do. But maybe I'll start a new X-4 run because all this thinking about X-4 has made me kind of hype for X-4 again. I started doing a pirate only run where I would like have Talati ships to start, and then I would try and steal different larger class ships and then sell them off, just like how I was describing earlier. But I don't know. There was another playthrough I did where I was part of the Terran military. That one was fun, but that one also got kind of stale after a while because, after a while they just kind of plop you up into like sandbox mode, and the story kind of runs, not dry, but like you finish the story, or at least as much as you can until you grow bigger, and then you gotta kind of just like play the regular game, which is just like building your fleet and making sure you have the ability to continue the story. Normally it's gathering something, so a lot of it's like trying to find out where that thing is and obtaining it, which is not too dissimilar to other video games, I suppose. Even Elite Dangerous, you gotta go with your limpet drones and go pick up some scrap metal that fell from a broken ship. Same idea, same idea. Sometimes there's some weird crystals. There is a weird thing called space flies that hang out on asteroids, and they lay eggs on these asteroids, these space flies. And apparently these eggs, this caviar, is like a highly well desired, sought after delicacy. And I don't know, it just sounds nasty to me. Like, I mean, fish caviar already should sound nasty, but I would rather try fish caviar than space fly. Like, it's got fly in the name, so it's like it's larvic, Like, I don't know if I don't know if that's a delicacy exactly, but you know how space things always make some weird food items. And then there's some cookbook author that's gonna be like, I'm gonna make every single meal from Fallout. Some nasty universe that doesn't really have real food, and then someone's gonna write a cookbook about it. And I joke about that because I'm pretty sure one of my friends has a Fallout 4 cookbook where you can make like rad scorpion steak and stuff like that. And I'm like, how? I'm like, wait, how do you have? Well, one, how do you have a rad scorpion steak? Two, what's a rad scorpion in real life? Okay, let's assume it's just a scorpion. Like, what are you eating? Scorpion? What is the recipe calling for? What is rad scorpion steak? Anyway, I'm just jealous that I don't have the cookbook, I guess, because I have these burning questions. I got these burning questions, and they won't be answered until someone makes me a rad scorpion steak. Anyway. There's a cool way to like get blueprints I found in X-4, where if you like launch an EMP pulse or an EMP grenade or missile or something like that, at a station at the module that you want, it'll create a breach, and then you can download that breach, and then you actually download the blueprint of that module so you can build it for yourself. So I saved a lot of money just doing that. Because normally you'd have to go to a systems administration office and then apply for the license and then get the license to be able to build the blueprint. And normally that license itself costed like a lot, or maybe it was just the blueprint. But anyway, it costed a lot. Just for the blueprint of it. So you needed to get creative and maybe a little crafty if you wanted to build something at least quickly in the early game. I don't know, maybe I'll make a factory. That also sounds cool, like maybe making a factory and then just trying to like make a shipping business. Like I don't know why, but I just picture it being like what's it called? Los Hombres? No. Why can't I remember the Breaking Bad place? And Banditos de Polos or something. No, that's not it. I think that's like the chicken. I think that's the bandit chicken or something I just said. I'm not sure, but I'll remember one day. I'll remember after the recording of this what the restaurant's called. But I love the scene where like all the different chicken trucks start moving out, distributing the meth, Walter White's meth. I don't know. I mean, I mentioned space weed, but I'm not sure if there's any. Maybe just do like a Walter White run. create a criminal underbelly. No. What do I want to do? I do want to do the DLC, so we'll just see what the DLC does. We'll figure that out. Tides of Avarice, as far as I remember, was pretty interesting to start. I think you start out stuck in a spoilers, by the way. I think you start out in a prison cell or a brig. That's the word I was looking for. You start out in a brig, and you got a brig cellmate next to you, who whispers to you and says, "Hey, I think there was a mix-up with the watch. I'm supposed to have your cell. Anyway, I'm supposed to break out of here. So if you could break out, I could break out." So you help him break out by like opening a vent that had like a rigged like circuit switch that opened the door for you, and then you let him out. Or you talk to him before letting him out, and you're just like you play with the idea of, what if I just left you right now? And he's like, well, I'm the only way you can get off of this space station, probably alive, because they're gonna want to shoot you when they realize you escaped from prison. And he apparently had a getaway ship at the ready. If they could signal. I think we had the radio signal, and that was the next part of the mission. But yeah, so we escape together, we signal our getaway ship, and then the getaway ship saves us, and then you go to this big ship where you meet like this pirate. I'm gonna call them pirates. I think they're pirates. This pirate leader, and they're kind of like these the Curs. I think they called themselves the Curs. They're kind of like, I don't know if they're traditional pirates, but they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool so far. So hopefully, maybe I'll align myself with them, but we'll see where the story takes us. And if I'm doing a pirate character, it kind of fits with that storyline. But yeah, I don't know what awaits us in the DLCs, and the other DLC, I have no idea. I have no idea what to expect from that one. I don't think I've started that one at all. I still gotta get through Tides of Avarice. Pretty good. Pretty good. We're at 55 minutes. Can I rant or ramble about anything for 10 more minutes? I'm not entirely sure. I was editing today before realizing I should record some TheReyCast early instead of trying to record, edit, and post all in one day. So I'm likely gonna be editing this tomorrow, but I was editing earlier today the impressions video, and it's mostly cut down. The only issue is sourcing images of every character that I've done. So it's been a slow process of doing that. But that is coming along pretty well. So Impressions 2 should be coming out. I do have recorded the next part 2 of the Sea of Thieves, but I only hesitate on that because I want to make sure that I can keep up the upload schedule. Because when I post that, it's almost like the true return of the next, iteration of the Reynard show. So I've been a little hesitant on that one because I want to finish some of the other videos so I can at least have like maybe 3 or 4 episodes ahead of time. As I start, getting a feel for things, which all of this is me trying to get a feel for things, and I'm still feeling it. And I'm starting to learn. I'm learning a bunch of stuff. I feel like I should learn some more things. Well, not learn, because I kind of know them. The only issue is applying them. I haven't had much time applying them to the stream because I switched to OBS Studios, but I haven't had much time to really manage that switch. Which has just made it a little annoying because I lost a lot of my functionality for stream. But that's okay. It'll probably come back. I just need to slot a time for that so I can complete that and then work with Sammy and make the stream really neat. Because I do want to keep up at least a once a week stream. I completed Jack 2. Oh yeah, that's a big milestone. I beat Jack 2 on stream, which is pretty neat. Which is weird because I'm not sure if I ever actually beat Jack 2. Now that I think about it, I think I always just thought I beat it after a certain point and then stopped playing. I'm not sure. I think Jack 3 came out before I finished Jack 2, so I just switched to Jack 3. But hopefully on stream we're gonna be doing Jack 3 then. This is gonna look. I just realized this is gonna sound really weird to anyone listening in the far future, because who knows? Will there be a stream still in the far future? Will there just be these archived conversations I've had with myself? They'll end up becoming a bit of a time capsule, I'm sure. And you'll be able to look back and see what happened with the Reynard show. What were his origins? What was his rise? What was his fall? Hello, every future YouTuber who's listening to this, combing through everything that I've said in order to figure out some controversy about me. Because I know you're listening. Maybe one day in the future, if I don't fade into obscurity. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. But also, hello, I hope you're doing good. Anything else I want to say about X-4? Not really, other than I crave playing it now. Probably I might start a new game. I've said this before. I'm kind of just running in circles. I am truly just vamping for another 5 minutes. Truly. What's another fun idea? I wanted to make some more missile ships. Because the missiles seem really in-depth, but I never really used the missiles in the game. Like some of them are pretty neat, like EMP missiles, like I mentioned earlier. Actually, do you use the same thing? Maybe it's an EMP, like, suit bomb. Yeah, I think it's a suit bomb to steal the blueprints. Sorry, I'm jumping around a lot. I've had my coffee and also an energy drink, so maybe this is one of those hyper TheReycasts. Maybe there's a bit of hyperness. Here, let's just drink regular water. Drink water break part 2. Water break 2. Let's go. If you didn't drink the closest thing to near you, then what are you doing? What are you doing? If you don't have anything near you to drink, go drink whatever is nearest to you. Like physical, like if there's a sink, just get under that, Get a drink, get some hydration in you. You'll feel better. I promise. A pinky pie promise. All right? All right. I'm not sure if it's healthy to force the TheReyCast to go on longer than it should, but thank you, Egosoft, for making a cool game. If anyone was looking for another space game, space simulator, check out X-4. It's a pretty good one. Like I said, it's probably my third favorite, but it's only third favorite by default because of Star Fox taking the first slot. If Star Fox wasn't an equation, just because of my nostalgic love for it, it would be my second favorite space game, X-4. So it's a pretty good one. I would highly recommend. Elite Dangerous can be hard to get into, but X4 not as much. It really kind of baby steps you into the game, which I think is fantastic. So it's good for pretty much anyone who has like a basic, gamer sense, gamer mode. Anyone who has any gamer skill, nah. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I highly recommend. And man, we're only 2.5 minutes away from the end. I almost sounded like I was gonna end it there, but I mean, like, we're so close. We're so close. We could just hang out here for a little bit. You guys want to do that? We're just gonna hang out for a little bit and enjoy each other's company and wait for the inevitable end of the podcast. I mean, the podcast. Nice. Just take a moment to relax and chill out here with you. Woo! Oh, did I scare you? I'm sorry. Sorry, I had to take the opportunity. I'm sorry. Please don't hate me. Please don't hate me. It was just a prank. It was a prank. All right. This podcast is deteriorating. Determinating. It is devolving. It is dismantling. It is
later.
No longer sane. And we have another minute of this.